Hello. If you know me, you know it's been a while since I've been here. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Leah, and I've had quite the year. I think we all have, right, with COVID. And for me, I feel COVID's actually been this blessed opportunity for us to have the time and the spaciousness to tune in and do a lot of the inner work. And so it's actually all this work that I've been working on in myself in the last year that's inspired me to start making videos again, to start being more visible online and sharing on topics that really stimulate me, motivate me, inspire me, and really march to the beat of my soul. So, the first video I want to talk about is on the subject of awakening, and this is actually what I'm calling my channel now is Awakening, because this is the thing that's really most stimulating to me on the planet. So recently, through a lot of my personal development and inner work, I've come to this awareness or this distinction that there's actually many different levels of awakening. So I want to share a little bit about my personal story and my experience with awakening, and then kind of classify for you the what I found for me personally so far, the four different layers of awakening that a person can have. And I'm sure there's even more layers, right? Because I, just like you, just like all of us, am continually unfolding and expanding and growing every moment. So, the first layer of awakening that I experienced was back in 2009. And this is the physical layer of awakening. And for me, this was catalyzed by my son's autism diagnosis. And I found with many people in the spiritual community, people who kind of identify as light workers, people doing this spiritual work or being on a spiritual path, oftentimes this physical layer of awakening comes through, sadly or unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, this catalyst of an unfortunate event. Frequently it'll be like an illness within yourself or a loved one, some kind of disease, tragedy, or even death of a loved one. And it's usually through these very adverse defining moments that we wake up, right, to our soul's higher calling. And so that's why I like to sort of reframe things for myself, and I say that one of my biggest affirmations is my adversity is my superpower, because I feel that it's often those biggest challenges and those most adverse events that actually lead to our greatest transformation. So my physical awakening happened in 2009 as a result of my son's autism diagnosis, where I started just questioning everything around me. I started questioning what I heard on the news, what I read on social media, what food I put in my body. And I'm going to make more videos down the road going more in depth on each of these layers of awakening. But the biggest key to the physical awakening is sort of tuning out the environment that you're in, or being able to make that distinction between your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and the environment around you, and the messaging that's coming at you from the external environment you're participating in, right? So for me, that looked like turning off the news, unplugging from that constant negative news, right? CNN, turning off the television, tell lies vision, right? If you break down the word television, it's tell lies vision, right? There's the TV is telling a vision that's maybe not always the truth. It made me start questioning a lot of the systems I was partaking in, right? Like the medical establishment, our food industry, agricultural industry, and even just how the mainstream media as a whole and social media are connected, and how those influence us and our thoughts, and my thoughts, how they influence me and my thoughts and my beliefs. So that was my first layer of awakening. We cleaned up our diet, we did all sorts of different things, so to sort of lay the framework, to lay the groundwork for the next layer of awakening. And for me, the next layer of awakening was my personal mental awakening, or personal development mental awakening. This happened in 2012. And this for me was catalyzed also by my son's diagnosis, but I found myself at this personal development institute. And it was the first time that I was introduced to the notion that happiness is a choice, that, I'm actually me alone am responsible for my thoughts, my beliefs, and my reality. And it was the first time in my life I actually started to take ownership for my life as opposed to feeling like this victim. So I feel like having a mental awakening is starting to decipher the thoughts that we think instead of just reactively reacting to things coming at us, right? Like I used to believe I can't help it, or life sucks and then you die, or like I'm such a poor victim to all these different circumstances. And after I had my mental awakening, I realized that actually my thoughts create the very reality I live. So therefore, with great freedom also comes great responsibility. I need to start being more impeccable with my word and with what I'm thinking, what I'm telling myself, what I'm feeding myself. So that was the second layer of awakening for me. The third layer of awakening, which happened very shortly after, maybe about like 6 months later, also in 2012, was my spiritual awakening. And this one's, probably the most fun, I guess, for me, because this is when I woke up to who I really am as a spiritual being living in this physical reality. I started waking up to the laws of the universe and plugging into this system of energy and vibration and frequencies. And that, yes, my thoughts create my reality because of how they inspire me to take action, but they also create my reality because of the vibration that I'm emitting and the frequency that I'm emitting, which physically causes an energetic shift around me. And that's when I started consuming so much content on spirituality, metaphysics, the law of attraction, Eastern philosophy. I went way down that rabbit hole and I'm still in it. And I'm so grateful because through my spiritual awakening, I realized that everything is actually happening for me. I choose to believe that we live in a friendly universe and the universe is benevolent. And so even things that seem painful or hard, it's all for my ultimate expansion. It's all for my growth. And that I actually chose it. My soul actually chose and signed up for every single aspect to create the exact situation that I'm in for my ultimate expansion. So that was my spiritual awakening. And my fourth, and so far final, but I'm sure there's more to come, but my fourth layer of awakening was my emotional awakening. And this actually happened just this past year in 2020. So in the year 2020 and through now to 2021, I started to wake up to ancestral wounds and also childhood traumas and how that relates to who I am in the world in relationships to other. And this has been actually digging up a lot, right? Like looking at my shadow. Whereas before, when I was simply taking a spiritual approach, I might have bypassed these things because I'm like, oh, well, love and light and rainbows and unicorns, and it's all for the best. Whereas in my emotional awakening, now I'm actually digging it up by the roots intentionally, deliberately, and saying, ooh, that's a shadow. What's our shadow? It's basically our subconscious mind, the stuff that's acting all the time, whether we realize it or not, that maybe we don't really want to look at. Maybe we feel some shame around it or it's too painful to look at, right? So in 2020, I started this emotional awakening, and a lot of it was catalyzed also by starting to work with plant medicine, because plant medicine actually works as a catalyst to reveal the shadow. And it's been such a transformative, amazing year. And so here on this channel, I want to start sharing more and more content on these subjects and these 4 different layers of awakening, all different things that I've worked through or am working through that can help and uplift and inspire the collective into this collective awakening. Because what I feel like is happening on the planet right now through COVID and just everything going on on the globe politically is it's this immense amount of pressure that's creating this polarity, right? It's creating more and more people to start questioning their realities, more and more people starting to ask these questions for themselves, looking for answers, being a seeker. And I hope that this channel can serve as a way shower on your path, as a light on your path to help you tune into who you really are, your divine essence in nature, and to fully awaken, so we can all do that together. So thanks so much if you've made it this far. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for much more inspired content. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, be sure to go follow my Instagram page. My handle there is just my first and last name, at Leah Vitale, and I'm super excited to continue to share as I feel inspired here and there. All right, have a beautiful day.